Members, it's time and we have a quorum. First of all, confirmation of the minutes of the 27th meeting held on the 20th of June 2014. Confirmation of the minutes of the 29th meeting held on the 20th of June 2014. The minutes have been forwarded to members. Can we confirm the minutes, please? Matters arising. I've already proposed to the Chief Secretary for Administration to attend a special meeting of the House Committee to discuss with us the white paper on one country, two systems. The Chief Secretary proposed that the item be taken up at the meeting of the Constitutional Affairs Panel. Mr. Tammy Chung, yes, we'll make the arrangement. Questions? Next. Business arising from previous council meetings. Legal Service Division reports on bills referred to the House Committee in accordance with Rule 54.4. Legal Advisor. Thank you. The first bill, Securities and Futures Companies Legislation Uncertificated Securities Market Amendment Bill 2014. By the name of the bill, as you can tell, it's about amending the ordinance to facilitate establishment and implementation of an uncertificated securities market regime. The stock exchange will be given powers to regulate the operation of an uncertificated securities market. If the bill is passed, in future there will be a need for a commencement notice. The panel on financial affairs considered the bill on many occasions. I'm sure members would wish to set up a bills committee to consider the bill. Bills committee, please, members? Yes or no? Ms. Emily Lau proposes a bills committee. Does any member wish to join, please? Okay, so the Secretary will circulate papers. Next. Yes, the second bill, Sex Discrimination Amendment Bill 2014. Legal Service Division Report Number LS69. The bill amends the Sex Discrimination Ordinance to render unlawful any sexual harassment against providers of services. Right now, this offense only applies to those receiving service. So the bill would amend it so those providing services would also be offered protection. And the scope is extended to cover offences taking place on local ships or aircraft outside Hong Kong. The panel on constitutional affairs was consulted last year. We have not identified any difficulties relating to the legal and drafting aspects of the bill. Members, do you wish to set up a bills committee? Ms. Sitho proposes a bills committee. Do any members wish to join, please? Okay, the Secretary will circulate papers. Next, please, Ms. Legal Advisor. Yes, Mr. Chairman, the next bill is Private Columbaria Bill. It is a new bill. It seeks to provide for the licensing of non-government columbaria for keeping cremated human remains, the establishment of the Private Columbaria Licensing Board, and also before the passage of bill, there would be provisions to regulate columbaria already in operation. Now, the panel on food safety and environmental hygiene has been consulted before. Members expressed various concerns. I'm sure members would wish to set up a bills committee on this bill. Any bills committee members? Okay, Mr. Wong Peng proposes a bills committee. Who would like to join? The Secretary will circulate papers. Next. Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on the 20th of June 2014 and tabled in Council on the 25th of June. Legal Advisor, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The paper number is LS68. There is only one item of subsidiary legislation. Rules of the High Court Amendment Rules 2014, LN94. For judgment debtor who are imprisoned upon the application by the judgment creditor will have to pay for the support and maintenance allowance. At the moment, it's $660 per diem, but here it's proposed to increase it to $725, i.e. by 10%. The LM will come into operation on the 26th of November 2014. Members, do you wish to set up a subcommittee? No? Further business for the council meeting of the 2nd of July 2014. Tabling of papers. Report number 21/13 to 14 of the House Committee on consideration of subsidiary legislation and other instruments. It covers 11 items of subsidiary legislation for which the deadline for amendment is the 2nd of July. At the end of the deadline, no members have asked to speak on these items. Bills, first reading and moving of second reading. Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Amendment Bill 2014. Business for the Council meeting of the 9th of July 2014. 22 questions have been slotted, 6 oral and 16 written. Bills first reading and moving of second reading, no notice has been received yet. Bills resumption of debate on second reading, committee station and third reading. The first one, Shipping Legislation Control of Smoke Emission Amendment Bill 2014. Second one, Stamp Duty Amendment Bill 2013. And the third one, Marriage Amendment Bill 2014. Government motion. Proposed resolution under Section 29 of the Pharmacy and Poisons Ordinance, Cap 138, to be moved by the Secretary for Food and Health. Legal advisor, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, the Secretary for Food and Health has given notice to move a motion at the Council meeting on the 9th of July. Is to add 4 substances to the poisons list for regulation and control. The details are in our report. If the item is passed, then the administration proposes to gazette the regulations on the 11th of July 2014. Do you wish to set up a subcommittee? No? Then the administration will move this motion on the 9th of July. Members' bill resumption of debate on second reading, committee stage and third reading. Kowloon Tong Church of the Chinese Christian and Missionary Alliance Incorporation Amendment Bill 2014. Members' motions. Motion on concern about the integration and conflicts between Hong Kong and the mainland to be moved by Dr. Lam Tai Fei. And motion on devising the constitution by all people, making a new covenant and realizing genuine Hong Kong people ruling Hong Kong to be moved by Mr. Wong Yuk Man. There's a list of 19 items of subsidiary legislation, the deadline for amendments of which is on the 9th of July. Members, if you wish to speak on any of these items, please so indicate before 5 p.m. on the 30th of June, Monday. Reports of bills committees and subcommittees. Ms. Emily Lau. Mr. Chairman, for the Council meeting on the 9th of July, how long will it last? What's the plan? Because the Secretariat consulted us some time ago. The President might see if the President sees a need that we may have to have more days of the meeting. We've given our reply, but has any decision been made because we need to plan our schedule? Secretary General. Mr. Chairman, we're still consulting the views of different members and parties. We're still waiting for the final decision of the President. Because you have asked us many days ago, please let us know very soon what the arrangement is. It's fine if you don't want a meeting, but if you want to schedule more meetings, we need time. And of course, there's still time. There are still many other meetings scheduled for other panels and committees. So you need to tell us. You have to ask the President to make a decision. If members do not give a reply, there should be a deadline. I think you asked us some 10 days ago. Okay, SG has already given his reply. Please pass on members' concerns to the President, SG. Ms. Claudia Mo, can I ask, could there be a deadline drawn somewhere, say by the 15th of July or 10th of July? So we'll know whether there will be additional meetings or additional days and so on. Because many of us have to make arrangements for the summer break. So isn't it better to let us know sooner? Draw a deadline, draw a line somewhere. Well, whether we have meetings or not, it's not a matter of whether it's safe to know. Anyway, reports of those committees and subcommittees. Report of the subcommittee on three regulations under the Telecommunications Ordinance Cap 106, gazetted on the 16th of May 2014. Mr. Charles Mock. Mr. Chairman, the subcommittee has held a total of 2 meetings, at one of which deputations were received. Members note that the administration has decided to adopt a hybrid, administratively assigned market-based approach to reassign the relevant 3G spectrum, i.e. RFR spectrum and re-auction spectrum, for the next assignment term of 15 years from the 22nd of October 2016 to 21st of October 2031. The floor and ceiling of spectrum utilization free SUF for RFR spectrum are respectively $66 million and $6.6 million and $8.6 million per megahertz. The auction's reserve price for reauctioned spectrum is $40.8 million. Sorry, I think I've got my figures wrong. The floor and ceiling of spectrum utilization fee SUF for RFR spectrum are respectively $66 million and $86 million per megahertz. The auction reserve price for reauctioned spectrum is $48 million per megahertz. Members asked the administration if it would consider lowering the SUF floor and ceiling for RF spectrum and also the auction reserve price. They expressed concern that the incumbent 3G operators may join hands to push up the bidding price to price out an existing player or new entrants to reduce market competition and bring up mobile service charges. The administration stated that in setting the range of SUF, it has tried to ensure that the SUF reflects the market value of the spectrum as far as practicable. Moreover, competition in the spectrum market is dependent on the number of new investors joining the bid. The auction format is one of simultaneous multi-round ascending format, of which the bid price for each round is determined by the Communications Authority. The SUF incumbent 3G operators will pay for the RFR spectrum, which will be the average SUF of all the frequency slots under auction. They therefore should not have the incentive to push up the bid price and add to their cost in acquiring the spectrum. Members have expressed concern that the Inland Revenue Department recently informed operators that the SUF payment basis for spectrum auctions, including the upcoming one, will be changed to an upfront lump sum payment that would result in additional tax cost, which may be passed on to consumers. The administration indicated that in determining the payment method for SUF, it will not take into consideration the tax treatment. Members suggested referring the matter to the panel on financial affairs for follow-up. Members have also discussed issues such as the impact of the hybrid approach on service quality, the number of base stations supporting 4G services, trend of spectrum utilization, spectrum trading, and so on. Details of deliberations are in the report. The subcommittee will not be moving any amendments to the three regulations. Thank you. Next. Report of the Subcommittee on Dutiable Commodities, Amendment No. 2, Regulation 2014, Mr. Tommy Zhang. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Subcommittee on Dutiable Commodities, Amendment No. 2, Regulation has completed its scrutiny. The Subcommittee seeks to increase the fee for a temporary liquor license from $445 a day to $510. The subcommittee held a meeting with the administration 2 days ago. Members are not against the fee increase proposal, but members pointed out that for many items of government service fees, they've been frozen for 10 years. If new fees is set on the basis of current day's cost, that means the increased fees will be substantially higher. So the administration should take that into account in adjusting fees. The subcommittee will not be moving any amendments to the subsidiary legislation. It will provide a written report later. If I may remind members, for the 4 items of subsidiary legislation considered by the 2 subcommittees, the deadline for making amendments is the 2nd of July, and for giving notice for amendments is the 2nd of July. Deadline for making amendments is the 9th of July. Position of Bills Committee. and subcommittees. There are, as at the 26th of June, there are 13 bills committees, 7 subcommittees under the House Committee, and 9 subcommittees on panel issues on policy issues under panels. There are 3 subcommittees on the waiting list. Next, proposed duty visit to Israel by the panel on commerce and industry. Chairman, the panel on commerce and industry proposes a duty visit to Israel from the 3rd to the 8th of August to study the country's experience in promoting the development of innovation and technology. Details of the visit are in the document. In response to the panel's invitation, 2 officials from the Innovation and Technology Commission will join the visit to give input to the delegation anytime during the visit on the development of innovation and technology in Hong Kong. Their expenses would be borne by the government. The panel has agreed to invite non-panel members to join the visit. So there are 10 members who have indicated their wish to join the visit. One of them is a non-panel member. The name list of the delegation is in Appendix 2 to the document, to the paper. Members, may we have your approval for this duty visit? Thank you.
Right, members, any comments, Mr. Gary Fan? Chairman, as I'm a new member, I want to ask a question. Now, concerning such duty visits, is it a normal arrangement to have members accompanied by government officials? So is it that we usually extend an invitation to government officials if we think fit, or is it that government officials will first express an interest to accompany members? So I want to know what the usual practice is. Now, Mr. Vincent Fang has already said that government officials have been invited to go on the duty visit by the panel. So the panel extended the invitation to government officials. Yes, Ms. Claudia Mo, I'm somewhat surprised. The executive and the legislature are independent of each other, and they check each other's powers. So this is a duty visit by LegCo members, and is it really appropriate to have LegCo members accompanied or being accompanied by government officials during a duty visit? Now, perhaps Mr. Ho can tell us whether the Ye panel did invite government officials to accompany members the duty visit. Yes, we went on a duty visit to Korea and South Korea, and their culture is such that when they see females, they regard them only as tea ladies. But I think LegCo members can decide whether they they want to be influenced by government officials. When we were in South Korea, we heard briefings by Korean officials, and when we come back, we use what we've seen and heard in South Korea to challenge and to query the information provided to us by the Bureau. So it's up to members to decide whether they will be swayed by government officials. Ms. Claudia Mo. Now, in fact, I also took part in the visit to South Korea. We looked at how food waste was treated, and my experience told me that with government officials accompanying LegCo members, usually we merely followed government officials. So and I think this is totally inappropriate. In my view, the executive and the legislature should be independent of each other. All right, any other views? Members, any objection to this duty visit by the CNI panel to Israel? No objection? Then I think we can give our support to this duty visit. Next, Request of Mr. Wong Yok-man to seek the House Committee's recommendation under Rule 13A of the House Rules for an adjournment debate under Rule 16.4 of the Rules of Procedure to be held in addition to 2 motion debates initiated by members at the Council meeting of 2nd July 2014. So, Mr. Wong Yok-man, I'll give you 3 minutes. Chairman, now we can see that there is some very tight security around the electrical complex, and in fact, outside the electrical complex, there are lots of mills barriers, and they can't be removed easily. And so, if something happens, a lot of people may die. Maybe electrical members deserve to die because they have committed acts of injustice, some may say. But the electrical staff, our assistants, they are innocent. And how come we've allowed the police to take over the security of the electrical complex? The police officers came in, they fell in, and then they marched out to discharge their duties. This is the legislature. The legislature is independent of the executive. How come we ask the police officers to come in, to fall in, and then they put all their gear in the lobby of the electrical complex? And I called Mr. Chan, and he said that it was the decision of the Electrical Commission. And I think the Electrical Commission owes us an explanation. How come electrical members' assistants are not allowed in? So what security measures are these? So I really need to demand an explanation from the Electrical Commission. I think we are totally surrendering the dignity of this building. You know, C.Y. Leung came into this electrical complex and scolded electrical members. And now, look at the security measures around this complex. The electrical complex is now like a prison. And so I really want to have a follow-up discussion. And that's why I am proposing this adjournment debate. And I think those who have a sense of shame should support this motion. We are elected electrical members. How come we can allow the police into this complex? So should we ask or invite the PLA to come in and then arrest us all? Is that what you want to see? That's what has happened in the mainland, but this is Hong Kong. So please think with your brains. You are electrical members. You may think you are now adequately protected by these security measures. But do you know that if the people have to make their demands known, they storm the legislature? This is not uncommon. And have you seen the legislature demanding such measures, denying access by electrical members' assistants? So last week and also the week before last, I went downstairs, I videotaped everything, all the arrangements, and I think this adjournment debate is absolutely necessary. All right, your time's up, 3 minutes. Ms. Claudia Mo, 2 minutes. Yes, Chairman, thank you. In fact, I've written to you, and I have suggested that an item be raised under AOB. I do not want to be represented. I don't think the Electoral Commission can represent all 69 or 70 members of this council. The electrical complex has been turned by the Electoral Commission into a maximum security prison in Central. I arrived at about 1 p.m. and I saw 3 police vehicles at least, and the security staff of the Electrical Secretariat said that they merely acted in accordance with orders and instructions. And in fact, we've invited, or the Electoral Commission has invited the police to be stationed in this complex. There are 13 members in the Electoral Commission, but we have a total of 69 electoral members, excluding the president. How come you've allowed this to happen? I think such arrangements affect the image of the legislature locally and internationally. How come we haven't been consulted? And out of 13 members of the Electoral Commission, the majority of them are the pro-establishment members. So it seems that they can have all the say. And in fact, some electrical members' assistants were downstairs. 5 of them, they complained that they were not allowed to enter the electrical complex. In fact, this is their workplace. Now, I understand that some of them have been arrested. How come you are not allowing them to go to work? They haven't been tried yet. So why is it that we have already given a verdict when a trial has yet to be held? So is it that electoral members have been turned into political eunuchs, so we just follow the executive's instructions? Chairman, we have one country, 2 systems. We have the separation of powers. Mr. Ho, because Ms. Claudia Mo, time's up. Mr. Ho, I think I want to say that I need to declare my interest because I'm one of the members of the Electoral Commission, but I support the idea of an adjournment debate. This is an issue which is of great concern to the public and to many electoral members. The Electoral Commission has made a lot of decisions on security arrangements for the electrical complex. I am of the view that the Electoral Commission needs to consult other members as well. Chairman, when we have motion debates, we have government officials giving replies. So for this debate, who will be giving a reply? Yes, it's good that we can have an adjournment debate to express our views, but then who is going to give a reply? I think I will write to the administration, but I do not know which official should be giving a reply. Is it that the Electoral Commission should give a reply? But then for an adjournment debate under Rule 16(4) of the ROP, it should be for a government official to give a reply. But Chairman, I think it will not be too meaningful if we hold an adjournment debate and there is no one to give us a reply. Is it that the Security Bureau can give a reply on behalf of the Electoral Commission, because it is said that the police have been asked to assist by the Electoral Commission. Now, in fact, I have also talked to the Secretary General on this matter. This is an adjournment debate under Rule 16(4) of the ROP, but I don't understand how we can have a government official to reply to this point. A point of order. Can you explain why the House Committee cannot discuss the security measures in the electrical complex? That was why I wrote to you. In fact, the Secretariat has already given you a reply on another occasion. But your reply, Chairman, was that it was not appropriate for the HC to discuss the decisions of the Electoral Commission. Yes. Mr. Gary Fan, I want to say that I support the Mr. Wong's suggestion. Since the 6th of June, security measures in this complex have been tightened up, and the police have been called in. According to Section 24 of the Electoral Powers and Privileges Ordinance, now the security staff of the Electoral Secretariat, in fact, in our conference rooms and in our chamber, have the powers equivalent to those of the police. And even if the president wants to order a member to leave the chamber, the member is removed by Secretariat security staff, Electoral security staff. And if the police are to be invited to assist, that decision has to be taken in a most cautious manner. And in April, it was said that if necessary, the police might be asked to assist in enforcement, but that was subject to the consent of the president and on the condition that there was no strong objection from the Electoral Commission. It is true that the Electoral Commission has the power, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't have to offer convincing reasons to all electoral members. In other words, reasons that are regarded as convincing by all electoral members. Or else maybe if we can, if the chairman of the Electoral Commission can have all the say, then to today he may call in the police, tomorrow he may call in the PLA. And the Electoral Powers and Privileges Ordinance, Section 2, also states that in the chamber and in the conference room, including, in other words, if the president allows the police in, the police will become secretariat staff, and so the president can decide where these police officers can take enforcement action and what level of force can be used and so on and so forth. Time's up. Yes, Chairman. Mr. Wong Ko-heng. The Electoral Commission earlier on made a decision to invite the police to assist in maintaining order in this complex. And I think the Electoral Commission's decision was appropriate. A total of 14 electoral security guards have been injured so far, and one of them suffered a severe injury in the toe. And in fact, one of the FTU's member unions comprising security guards came to petition the electoral. They asked the Secretary General to try to bring about improvements to security in the electoral complex. And they demanded that the safety of secretariat staff and security guards in electoral be protected. And in fact, the secretariat also felt that there was room for improvement concerning security measures in the electoral complex. We've come to such a pass, and I think some members need to ask themselves why we've come to such a state. Where, Mr. Wong Yok Man, please do not interrupt me. Wong Yok Man, please do not interrupt me, please. Mr. Wong Yok Man. Mr. Wong Yok Man, please do not interrupt me. Chairman, please give me my time back. Chairman. Mr. Wong Yok Man has proposed an adjournment debate. I have no objection to that. I think a discussion will let people know what the truth is. Mr. Chen Chi-chun.
Control in this council has become a complete mess. Members do not follow the rules, and outside the complex, if members want to ask questions of the relevant party responsible, we can't find the right party. Now, I'm in support of this adjournment debate. It's not just to defend the interests and rights of members. It's also about the staff, the journalists, and members of the public coming into the complex. Their rights and interests have to be clearly spelled out, too. Let's just talk about security. Security is about ensuring safety. And what about fire safety? From day one, since we bring down the shutters, no one has ever answered the question, what if there should be a fire in this complex? Can we escape? What is the escape route? Because the shutters have been brought down. Is there a need for an emergency drill? Are there any guidelines? There are several layers of barricades. Can we rush out of the complex in time? No one ever answers these questions. No one cares. Now, if you had allowed sufficient time in this House committee to talk about it, we could address some of the issues. Now, we're not members of the Electoral Commission. Electoral Commission meetings are closed meetings. Even if we go into the Electoral Commission meeting, there are just over a dozen of people to answer us. So that's not the best way. I think an adjournment debate is the best way to have an open debate, because we don't know what the rules are. Now, for the experienced members, senior members, you call SG, he will return your call, but he won't even return my call. I send message on the 13th of June. Still, there's been no reply. Dr. Fernando Zhang, I haven't finished, then please continue. So we don't know what the rules are for now. Are they just to protect the loyalist camp? If something should happen to the pro-established camp, the security would rush to their aid. But for me, if I have a problem, if my colleagues have a problem, there's differential treatment. I want the public to know about that too. The Electoral Commission and the security services, who are they to serve? Dr. Fernando Zhang, I speak in support of the German debate proposed by Mr. Wang Yukman. We should debate the security arrangement in the electrical complex. And then now you can see in electrical, every Friday, it's become like a fortress. And actually it feels like a prison. Electrical complex is where we discuss issues. It's a place for the people to have their voice heard. Now, coming in and out of the complex makes you uncomfortable already. The police or our executive staff, I wonder if they have this view. The more barriers you put up, the stronger the measures, the more resistance you get. You can put hundreds or thousands of police officers here, but by doing so, you will only anger the protesters and those who wish to put up a resistance. Electrical shouldn't embark upon such a power. We should allow the public to come in. We should be an open place. It's true there was a case of people storming the complex. We should review the arrangement. Now, we cannot avoid some starting troubles sometimes, and in that incident, people were injured. We found that regrettable. But for the security arrangement for the whole complex, we are no longer the People's Council, the way it is. And after the incident, Carrie Lam went to meet with Jasper Zhang and the SG. And your time's up, Dr. Zhang. Mr. Leung Yu-chung. Mr. Chairman, if I could first follow up on the letter of Ms. Claudia Mo to you. Why is it that at the House Committee we could not discuss security issues? You said in your reply is inappropriate. What is meant by inappropriate? On what basis? As the chairman of the House Committee, you just said it's inappropriate. You didn't give any reasons. I don't see what is inappropriate, because here we're talking about security arrangement. Why is it inappropriate? So can you please explain clearly what you mean by inappropriate? This is outrageous what you did. I don't think you're no longer fit to be the chairman. That's the way you reply to a member's question? Come on, it's ridiculous. Already last time I criticized you for all your rulings. There's no basis. You just say no, not allowed. That's all you would say. You are so high-handed. You don't act like a fair chairman. You're not at all fair. Mr. Wang Yukman proposed the debate. I think is important. It's also about security issues. Why don't you say it's inappropriate if you are that powerful? Why don't you say it's not inappropriate? What kind of a council have we degenerated into? We are now a high-security prison. And you think that's appropriate? There's an art piece in the lobby of this complex. The title of that piece is People. Why do we put that piece there? Because the council belongs to the people. Mr. Leung Yu-chung, your time is up. Now, I find your attitude most regrettable, Chairman. Ms. Emily Lau. Mr. Chairman, the design of this complex, of course, did not foresee the kind of storming referred to by Dr. Fernando Zhang. That's why at the Electrical Commission I said a number of times, the design of the complex, the facilities we have, the training of our staff, the way they're equipped, all these could not deal with the current situation. And more than a dozen staff members have been injured. That's why the Secretariat has proposed certain ways to deal with the situation. The Electoral Commission does have the duty to ensure the safety of everyone in the complex. But then at the Electoral Commission meetings, I've also said a number of times, now for some of the measures, the Democratic Party does not agree to that, like closing off the protest zone, or members' assistants could not come into the complex. Now, but this all happened urgently, and there was a major issue. It's true there should be an occasion for members' questions to be answered. One approach was to invite the President to the House Committee. You said that between the Electoral Commission and House Committee there is not any form of subordination, but still he could come here. But then there's another suggestion. Perhaps there could be an extended meeting of Electoral Commission and all members could be invited. We had such a meeting before when we planned the new complex. We thought it would happen, but somehow it didn't. I don't know why. Well, we have to understand members want to ask questions. Someone will have to answer those questions, whether it be the President or the Secretary General. So it's fine if we have a motion debate or an adjournment debate at a council meeting, that's fine. But as members pointed out, no one will give reply. It would be for government officials to reply. And government officials will say that the police was invited into the complex. Now, how come the suggestion of an extended Electoral Commission meeting was not followed up on? Secretary General? Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. As Ms. Emily Lau pointed out, at the last Electoral Commission meeting, there was discussion that we should hold an extended Electoral Commission meeting, and other members are invited to join. The President has agreed to do so. The Secretariat will be giving notice to members. Well, we're talking about it now. There's something so important. Why can't you tell us today so we know when we have a chance to ask questions? Why is it so difficult? Is it because you haven't fixed the date, time, and venue? SG, we have to find a suitable time where there are no other panel or committee meetings and where there's no council meeting. As you know, we have a rather packed schedule of meetings at LegCo, so we have to find a suitable slot. We'll do so as soon as possible. Mr. Albert Chan. Mr. Chairman, it is really sad, and I think this council should feel shame. This is the People's Council, but now we have high security. I don't think there is any parliament around the world where there are more barricades and chains as our council. You say this is the way to so-called protect the honourable members, in particular members of the pro-establishment camp. I think it's shame for Hong Kong. At many meetings, I asked about fires of safety. I actually called 999 2 times. The Fire Service Department has given a formal reply. First of all, not keeping smoke door closed is definitely against the rule. It should be condemned. And I've asked the Secretary to make sure that at least some of the smoke doors are now kept closed. And Leung Sing sounded an alarm. I asked the person in charge of the Fire Service Department, that is, if the alarm is sounded and Leung Sing wouldn't let people go, it's definitely against the law. So you have to be political neutral. You can't say that because the chairman say you can't leave, so we don't leave. If the alarm bell is sounded, that means we should run away. And then fire escape routes. This morning already I complained, because some of the passages are less than 2 meters outside. The Fire Service Department's requirements that fire escape route must not be narrower than 3 feet. So I'm going to lodge another complaint. How come LegCo could act above the law? The passage is less than 3 feet, and if there should be any problems during a fire, LegCo may be criminally prosecuted and will be subject to civil lawsuit. This is just common sense. And the closing of the shutter, the Fire Service Department explains that if there's fire alarm, then the electricity will be cut off, and then the shutters will be rolled up automatically. I'm talking about lives and limb. I've written to you several times. You wouldn't allow discussion. Please, your time's up. Mr. Ip Kok Him. Mr. Chairman, I think some members, the way they spoke just now, would give the impression to the public that the Legislative Council ought to be occupied. And it would just be regrettable if more security staff should be injured. In this council, it's with the it's because some members condone it, so there's some gaping loophole in the security arrangement in this council. As a result, we have to take certain security measures, and now we are like a prison. I think it's for the people of Hong Kong to see for themselves. In this council, how come we have become like this? Just now, Ms. Emily Lau pointed out the design of this complex is one of openness and transparency. All our doors are made of glass. That's the whole concept of the design of this complex. We're supposed to be an open and place open to the public. Why are we now in this position? Those who just spoke loudly should ask themselves why we have come to this stage. Mr. Albert Chan, I'm walking out. Now, I hope all of the people of Hong Kong who are following this debate, you see for themselves what's going on here. In this council, members have debate, we make decisions, we have discussion, but we are threatened this way. And there is some question of safety as a result. So why can't LegCo make appropriate arrangement? This is so important. We can't conduct business in this council under threat of a handful of people. Now, we're not against an adjournment debate. I think it's an excellent opportunity for members to give their views. And so all people in Hong Kong would see what's actually going on. Dr. Lam Tai Fei. Mr. Chairman, LegCo today is that we have a large number of police officers taking over security arrangement of this council. This is really sad and is absolute failure. But do we need to debate further the security arrangement in LegCo? Before we do so, perhaps we have to review who ought to take responsibility for things to degenerate to this stage. Is it the administration, members, the secretariat, or the public? We have to find out who's the culprit before we could resolve the matter. Now, in the past, what members did, filibustering and so on, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's reasonable or unreasonable, the government would not be flexible. It would not advance certain items before the New Territories Northeast development. Is that rational or spontaneous? I think we should review all these issues before we talk about security issues, because if these matters are resolved, then there is no question of security. And should the government continue to talk with members to resolve matters, if each just stands firm by his or her position, and then we take the public hostage and we hijack business of this council, at the end all loses out. Is that what we want to see? Is that what Hong Kong people want to see? I don't think they want the government to act this way. I think we have to do some soul searching ourselves. Have we done anything wrong? If so, please put right your wrong. Please do not take Hong Kong people as hostage. Don't make them your bargaining chips. These issues could be resolved easily as long as everybody compromises, everybody takes a step back, and we could discuss issues. There's no need to hand over our security to the police. And then there would be no need for Mr. Wong Yuk Man to consider whether personal safety is protected.
No one has objected to Mr. Wong Yuk Man's suggestion to hold an adjournment debate under Rule 16.4 of the Rules of Procedure. If there is no objection, then KK Fong. Chairman, I want to say that I support Mr. Wong Yuk Man's suggestion. But I want to respond to what Mr. Lam Tai Fai has said. And I think dialogue should be maintained. But the problem is that the government, the administration, is unwilling to talk with us. Now we can see that in fact there are alternative views in society as to how the land, how the sites in Hong Kong should be used and developed. And someone has proposed the so-called South option. And Mr. Leung Sing, in fact, said that he could arrange a meeting for a quadripartite meeting, and that was why we filibustered. We didn't want the item to be voted on, but we did not filibuster for the sake of filibustering. We were just trying to wait for the quadripartite meeting. No member wants to see conflicts, confrontation, but then, no, every Friday I see so many barricades. The electrical complex looks like an iron cage. I don't know how to enter the building. I have to be guided by the security staff. And I think this is really problematic. Chairman, I think what is important is that the administration should sit down and talk to people in Hong Kong as to how the land in Northeast NT should be developed. So I think our objective is to resolve the problems, to resolve the issues. Mr. KK Fong, or rather Mr. KK Kwok, I support Mr. Wong Yok Man's suggestion, Chairman. Maybe this German debate won't be able to resolve the stalemate surrounding Northeast NT. But I want to say that we are the Legislative Council. We are here to reflect public concerns to the executive. The functions of this council must not be distorted. We have half of the members here who are returned by functional constituencies. Now, under pressure, Mr. Paul Chan met the villagers and the residents a couple of days ago. I think we all saw his attitude. He was just putting up a show. He was not going there to really talk to the villagers and the residents. And now we are trying to sort of screen off the members of the public. We do not allow them to come near. I think we shouldn't. I think we should have a rational discussion of the issue. A couple of days ago, we wrote to Mrs. Carrie Lam, and she sounded unkind and benevolent. In fact, we told her that other FC items could be advanced. In other words, we should discuss the other items first and then the Northeast NT item. What the administration has decided to do will make Hong Kong people hate the administration and hate the pro-establishment members. I support Mr. Wong Yok Man's suggestion, but I think the administration holds the key to solving this present stalemate. No, this is not a debate. Mr. Tam Yu Chung. Sorry, Chairman. I really have to say something in response to the remarks made by some members. Now, some members have deliberately not mentioned the storming of the electrical complex. In fact, I believe many members of the public saw the storming of the electrical complex, and in fact, that was why security measures have been tightened. So it is not that we are tightening security measures without good reason. And concerning these security measures endorsed by the Electoral Commission, I want to say that there are no alternatives but to implement these measures because we can see the risks. And in fact, the Electoral Commission comprises members from almost all political parties, and the Commission made a decision after very careful consideration and discussion. And concerning the idea of an expanded meeting, if that can be arranged, fine. But I want to say that I have confidence in the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission always treads cautiously. And some members have suggested that other items on the FC agenda be advanced, or the Northeast NT item should be withdrawn, and as a result all the problems will go away. But I do not support this idea. Now some members are not doing what they should be doing or what they should have done. They keep filibustering. So now the government wants to develop some land. The government needs to carry out the study, and we should vote on the funding application. I understand that different members may have different views, but we have to put the matter to the vote. And then some members' assistants have been denied access. But then, as we all know, some assistants took part in the storming, and police investigations are still going on. And so I think not allowing them in is really something that needs to be done. Mr. Cadiflow, I want to say that such unrest may go on, or may appear again and again if the administration insists on adopting such an approach. So every Friday, LegCo members and their assistants feel rather helpless. They don't really know what to do. How come there was no contingency plan, there was no risk assessment, and then something happened, and as a result some security measures were worked out hastily, and the operation of LegCo was jeopardized, the image of LegCo was tarnished. Now, yes, the security, the safety of LegCo members and secretariat staff are important, but our image and our operation are also very important. Many assistants have protested against the LegCo's commission to disallow them across the board access to the first to the third floors and so on and so forth. So I would like to urge the LegCo Commission not to merely work behind closed doors. The Commission made a judgment, but what was the basis for the judgment? Please make reference to the risk assessment measures adopted by big corporations, and please uphold the image of LegCo as one that is accessible and open to the public. Mr. James Tian, most members support the idea of an adjournment debate. The Liberal Party also supports the idea, so we'll speak at that debate, and you'll know our views at that time. Mr. Chen Kin-po, nowadays in Hong Kong, people make confusing remarks, and as a result, people are confused as to what is true and what is not true. Order, please. Please allow Mr. Chen Kin-po to speak. So if there had been peaceful demonstrations, if we had not had security staff who had been injured, if members' assistants had not taken part in those in the storming, then of course such measures would not have been implemented. Now I think let's ask ourselves what is right, what is wrong. Let me declare interest. I'm a member of the LegCo Commission. We had lengthy discussions. We had very lengthy meetings. We always have in mind the safety of the 800-odd people working in this complex. In fact, we've become speechless. Many of our assistants have become speechless. I think people are confusing what is right and what is wrong. I think it's good that we can have an opportunity to air our views. And so I support Mr. Wong Yok Man's suggestion. And I also agree that the LegCo Commission should hold an expanded meeting. But I don't want that expanded meeting to be held in public. Now, I don't think a meeting to discuss security measures should be held in public. Even when political parties have their internal meetings, they do not open those meetings up. So, I think what is important is that we observe the rules, we do what we should do. And so I think the dignity of the LegCo is decided by what we do, not what the security measures are. Ms. Priscilla Leung. Yes, in fact, I have had a debate with the Secretary General recently. In fact, that was after the first storming incident. And I said that security measures must be tightened up. And I was worried that there might be more injuries. And then security measures were stepped up, and then a few days later, I led a group of children around the building, and we all had a happy time. So I want to say that we all want to uphold the solemnity and the dignity of this council, as Mr. Kenneth Leung has said. But then, many members in fact spoke when the chairman had not called their names. Professor Chen Yuwa's wife, who was in the U.S., said that she sent me an email. She said she no longer knew Hong Kong. Hong Kong was no longer a familiar place. Many people regard police officers as clowns. They disobey the police orders, and public officers who are regarded as of low intelligence. It seems that many Hong Kong people can no longer tolerate others. Previously, Hong Kong people were accommodating, we were resilient, but now Hong Kong people have changed. So this is an email from Ms. Chen Sok-on from the U.S. So please do not sound so self-righteous. Mr. James Tian said on an English TV program that in fact the project in fact started in 1997, the discussion started in 1997. So in fact we have been discussing this project for a very long time already. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan. Yes, Chairman. Yes, I understand that some of our security colleagues have been injured, and we have seen some storming incidents. Yes, we don't want to see these things happen, but please do not depict what is black as something white. I want to say that in fact on a daily basis, Hong Kong people are subject to violence, the violence of this of the present systems. And if we do not solve this fundamental problem, the community will still be divided. A member said that LegCo members were elected by the people of Hong Kong. Now, the people of Hong Kong did not elect FC LegCo members. Some members were elected by the people of Hong Kong. Some were not. So we don't have an equal election system. And as a result, Hong Kong people think that this council cannot really represent their views. Many Hong Kong people are of the view that this council doesn't act in a fair and just manner. The administration is only concerned about whether it has enough votes in this council to support its proposals. And even if people shout for help, they voice their views or what they say always fall on deaf ears. In fact, they have their proposals, they have their solutions to offer. We may not agree with them, but I think at least we should resolve the fundamental problem with our systems, or else we'll never be able to restore the dignity of this council.
Time's up. Do any other members wish to speak? If not, then we support Mr. Wong Yuk Man's request for an adjourned debate at the council meeting on the 9th of July. Mr. Chairman, or the 2nd of July rather. If the meeting on the 2nd of July should be aborted, does it mean the item will be carried forward to the meeting on the 9th of July? Is that correct? Yes. Ms. Claudia Mo, can I ask about the procedure? You said that at the council meeting, we may have a debate, but then no government official will come to give reply. So what is the arrangement? Then we have a debate for 75 minutes and that's the end of it. You mean Electoral Commission or Secretariat don't need to give reply? No, in accordance with Rule 16.4, no one reply. Any other business? Nothing under that. Meeting adjourned.